yesterday's video where we spoke about the consequences of violating social rules and how you can be punished for that, and whether or not you should choose to bail out of life or you should face the punishment. Now, to clarify, like, I stand by what I said. If anyone in any circumstance chooses, to take their own life, well, then that's their choice, and no one has the right to say that it's right or wrong. It's just like, I would clarify though that, if someone's just depressed, if they're just going through a tough time, if they've lost their job, if they don't have money, if a loved one has died, then there's really no reason to actually take your life, because you should think, well, the loved one, well, actually, it's not my place to say. I mean, you could say the loved one would want me to be happy here, but if you really feel like you've got to go to be with them and melt back into the everything, then that's your decision too. But we're not focused on that. We're focused on, for instance, as an example, somebody grows a lot of cannabis plants and they need it because either they're sick or because it helps their creativity. Well, then they're facing a life in prison because they get caught. What do you actually do? I mean, in that time that you done it, you experienced what you needed to do, you resisted, you rebelled. And then whether or not you face the punishment that the society wants to give you, or whether you choose to leave this earth, is ultimately your choice. And no one can say whether it's right or wrong, whether it's just or unjust, whether you're courageous or a coward if you choose to end your life. Like, they just can't. It's not their place to say, it's just your decision. However, on the flip side of what I was saying, like, you have to think about it like this. Even if they are put away for a long time, you have to look at the facts that, you can read, you can philosophize, you can exercise. There's a lot you can do to empower yourself, and you can still have that hope that one day things will change and your sentence may be reduced. You can hope that, people are getting released because it's seen that this is no longer a crime. However, that may be very unlikely depending on the time and place that you are. So what do you really do? Like, it's just your choice. And yeah, you're still a political prisoner, and like, your presence there in and of itself, it's showing, even if no one really thinks about it, it's showing that there is an injustice. And so you're never alone. Like, the universe or God or whatever is always with you. But I want to touch on, like, some of the heroes of the past, like Martin Luther King. Like, it was not easy, but it was okay for him to say things like, you are arousing the conscience of the community if you willingly accept the punishment, or to say, you never go alone, you go with God. But bear in mind, he had organizations behind him. He had, there were always going to be people in the public speaking about him and how it's an injustice in what he's serving. On the other hand, like, people in other positions, like, could not have that. They could genuinely, it could just be them, and people may just talk about them as if, like, it's a negative thing what they've done, and that they're there just because they're bad. And then ultimately, like, I'm not saying you should let that bring you down, but you're not in, it's not the same. So people can say, oh, Martin Luther King and things like this, and I respect them highly, but it is not the same to if you're not in the position they are. You have to assess every situation in and of itself. Even Nelson Mandela, given a life sentence, done 30 years, he had the hope that he could get out, but he may not have. And if he never did, if he never became who he was, then he would have just been another person there, just like basically wasting himself. Because anything you gather, any knowledge you gather, any ability to, withstand harsh conditions, unless you are actually given a chance to get back your limited still, but freedom in the sense of freedom of association, freedom to do what you want at what time you want, and to go back out and go into a community and actually benefit people, then it is essentially a waste of time. So that's where we go back to the fact, like, you could just look at it on the other side and take your life, and then at least you're not wasting resources of the earth, at least you're not wasting your time being bored. And even if people want to talk about, oh, there may be an afterlife and the consequences of that, like, no, it's still your choice, it's your freedom, it's your life, it's up to you whether you stay or go. And I'm just really here to say that no one can actually say whether or not it's the right or wrong thing to do to take your life and to avoid facing the consequences of violating social rules. And I'm talking about times where, like, deep down in your heart, you feel like, if for instance with the cannabis, you feel like it wasn't something which deserves a harsh as punishment as you're being given, but you have to face the harsh punishment because people will not listen. they won't listen. And they don't win. Just like, it's not about whether they win or lose. Like, they would probably feel better that you ride out the punishment because they feel like you're getting what you deserve. But also, they'd probably say the same thing if you did kill yourself. Oh, like, he deserved to not live or whatever. Like, don't, he or she, just don't worry about other people. Just worry about what you want to do. And like, there is always the positives in the sense that, so you're serving a very long time being punished and being isolated from people. There are still people out there who, if given the chance to talk to you, people from your past would say, people who know you, they would say, like, please stay, like, don't kill yourself, like, try to ride it out. And like, you've got to, like, try. I mean, like I said, like, it's not up to them whether or not you stay or go or take your life or whatever, leave this world. But like, and you shouldn't do it just for them, but you should try to remember them, and that they would want you to stay, and that you are still in their memory and you are still in their hearts. And that, ultimately, in that sense, like, there is a bigger picture that you have to think about. It's not just about you. So like, that's all I wanted to say, just to clarify. Like, there is two sides of it, but neither side is necessarily right or wrong, because it's up to you. Neither side is right or wrong, and I stand by that firmly. I'll stand by that, even if, like, if the person, imagine I was the person who grew this cannabis and was facing a life sentence, like, and then I said this, I was on about maybe taking my life or maybe not. There may come a time that I come to regret not taking my life if I don't do it, because I might think, shit, like, now I can't do it. Now I can't even escape the system, and like, now there is no hope, like, there's no release. And then I might just think, damn, I should have done it. But at the same time, if I do manage to ride it out, and then like one day I become like free, and I'm able to just take what I've learned in that punishment period and apply it to better in myself and other people, then, I'm not gonna ever, I wouldn't just turn back and say, well, that's the right thing to do. You have to ride it out. That's what you should do. That's the just thing. Just like, historically, we look at people who have done that, MLK, Nelson Mandela, like, no, that's not it. If someone else was in that position and they chose to bail out and end their life, then I'd have ultimate respect for them too. When it comes down to it, like, the respect is in, like, doing what you do in the first place. Like, if you're not allowed to grow cannabis, but you grow cannabis because you know it's the right thing to do, then that is the thing. That's the rebellion. That's the resistance. And that's the free choice that you've made. And that's the thing that really matters. Like, what you do after it, it's not anyone's business to say whether you should do it or not. And that's the thing with spiritual teachings, is sometimes people think they want it to be very watered down. They want it to be black and white, like, oh, you can get through anything, get through the struggle, stay positive, live your life. No, ultimately, like, a lot of the time, that stuff just bullshit. You gotta face the harsh realities of life, and ultimate control, individual dignity, freedom, taking back your mind. Like, it's a dirty, disgusting fight that's going on in this world. And that's the real spiritual truth. And that's what people need to realize, is this is a very, very harsh game we're playing, but nothing lasts.